we're going to be taking a look at a god in each of the role categories. So we're going to take a look at 5 gods, and then I'll come back in a video later and take a look at another 5 gods. Sorry for the roughness here, just having a couple of issues getting the stream going, but I think I'm good to go now. So, first thing, we're going to jump in with the Guardians here, and we're going to take a look at Hades, King of the Underworld, who is a Greek god. So first up, we're going to take a look at his skins. This is his default skin. It's pretty cool, I gotta say. He also has the Bloodfire skin, which you can purchase with in-game currency. It's cool, just makes him red. Next up, we got Soul Taker. And then we got Nightmare. This is my personal favorite. I think this one looks pretty awesome. Pretty sick. And then finally, we've got 2 skins that every god has. They have a golden skin. Now, in order to purchase a golden skin, you have to have that particular god at Mastery Rank 1. Just in case you haven't seen the previous video, in order to get Mastery Rank 1 with a god, you basically have to play matches with that god, and for each match that you win, you will gain a certain amount of worshippers. So, for right now, I've got 17 worshippers as Hades, so I've won enough games to accrue 17 worshippers. That's only like 2 or 3 games or so. And you can see that when I get 50 worshippers, I will unlock rank 1. So rank 1 will allow me to purchase this golden skin if I want. Also, there is a legendary skin, which is just like the golden skin, except it's black and gold instead of blue and gold. And you only are able to get this skin when you reach Mastery Rank 10 with a particular god. So you have to really play and really win a lot to get these skins. So if you see someone load in with this skin, either they've just played that god so many times that they've gotten enough victories to get this skin, or they're really good and they haven't lost that many games. So that's Hades with his skins. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to hop in here. We're going to go to this jungle, and we're going to take a look at his abilities. So the cool thing about the jungle, even if you don't have the Ultimate God Pack, like I do, you're able to play all gods for free in the jungle. So you can try out any god in the jungle, even if you don't own that god. So we're going to jump in here because it'll load fast and because I can just kind of go around and mess with the different mobs around here. So let's take a look at his abilities. First up, we've got his passive. So his normal, well, first off, he's a guardian, so he's like a tank character. But he's, I think, the only guardian who has a ranged basic attack. So we're going to take a look at that real quick. So as you can see, he has a ranged basic attack. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to level up enough for me to be able to show you the different skills. Alright, so we've leveled up enough for me to show you the skills. I'm not going to worry about items because the purpose of this is really to look at his skills, not to, see how much damage we can put out. So first off is his passive. So his normal staff attacks apply a debuff to an enemy called Blight. It stays on the target and it can be refreshed by auto-attacking or basic attacking the enemy again. If they're afflicted by Blight, then each of his other powers has an additional effect. So Blight lasts for 5 seconds. You put it on with your basic attacks, and then you can activate extra effects on your different abilities. So his basic attack, you can see it's nothing special, no progression or anything. So his first skill, his number 1, is called Death from Below. So let's take a look at what this does. So you get this targeting reticle, and basically what this will do is wherever you put it, Hades will transport to that location. He'll pop up, he does some damage, and he also applies blight to everyone in the area. So you can use this ability to dive in on people and apply blight without having to worry about trying to hit them with your auto attack. And his number 2 skill is called Shroud of Darkness. And Shroud of Darkness is a conal ability. You can see it here. And what that does is it silences all enemies that are in the cone, but if they are blighted as well, then it will also fear them, so they lose control of their character momentarily. And in addition to that, it also will apply blight. So you got a couple of options. You know, you can go in with Death from Below, or you can use Shroud of Darkness to apply blight to a large area instead of having to rely on your auto attack. His number 3 skill, which we're going to upgrade here, is called Devour Souls. So he devours the souls of his enemies. So you guys can check this out. It's an area effect around me. And so what that does is it does damage, but if the enemy is blighted, the enemy explodes, dealing damage to nearby enemies, and it heals your allies, and it consumes blight. So this move does not apply blight. So that move is good if you get blight on people, then you can use it to heal yourself and allies that are within that small radius. And a lot of times your allies are going to be around you. Specifically because of your ultimate ability, your number 4, which is called Pillar of Agony. So he calls to all enemy souls nearby, pulling them closer to him over time, doing damage every 5 seconds for 4 seconds. If the enemy is blighted, their protections are reduced, and he also gains protections for the duration. So I'm actually going to go out here to one of these camps. Let's see, let's go, not the fire giant. I'm just gonna go, here we go. So a pretty good combo to use with Hades is to go in with your number 1 and apply blight in an AoE. Then you can use your 3, so here we go. Use 3. That'll give you some health back. You can use your 2, which will fear the enemy as long as they have blight. And then at this point, you know, you're a tank, so you're just kind of trying to soak up damage. Hopefully your allies have come in. But you've also got your ultimate ability, so we're going to take a look at that real quick. So you can see he raises up into the air, and it basically makes people attack you, and it makes them walk towards you. So it's a good way to catch people if they're trying to flee from you. It's a good way to line up attacks. So that's pretty much how Hades works. Those are his abilities. You saw his skins. We're not going to go too in depth here. This is just kind of a overview of what you can do with the different characters. And you can see I'm doing pretty good here against these guys, and I mean, I don't even have items or anything like that, so Hades is, like I said, he's a tank. He's one of my favorite tanks. He's pretty awesome. And he's a pain if you get caught in his ultimate ability. Alright, so we're going to go back to the lobby, and we're going to take a look at another god. So we're going to jump into Assassins here, and we're going to take a look at Bakasura, the Great Devourer. So Bakasura is an assassin, so he's got high damage, low survivability. His damage is primary melee. So we'll go ahead and take a look at his skins. So we've got, got his default skin. You can see he's got a crazy head thing going on. Then we have Death Machine. Butcher. This is the one you can purchase with in-game currency. And then of course we have his golden skin, his legendary skin, and then also there's the Feaster Bunny skin, which is only available during certain periods and is frankly pretty creepy. Alright, so we're going to jump back in here, go back into the jungle. Grab Bakasura. And here we go. So Bakasura is a pretty interesting champion, because you'll see a lot of his abilities are focused on eating things and using what he eats.
Minions have spawned.
Alright, so first off, he's got a melee attack. You can see it here. So if we take a look at his passive, so his passive is his attack and movement speed temporarily increases for each enemy that he kills. So he gets 10% attack speed per stack, 10% movement speed per stack, the last 10 seconds, and a maximum of 3 stacks. So a total of 30% attack speed and 30% movement speed that he can stack up. He's just got a basic, normal basic attack here. So his first ability is called Takedown. He leaps to his ground target location, damages all enemies, and reduces their protections. So pretty much kind of like we just saw with Hades, wherever you put this at, he will jump there. And yeah, so that is a good move to initiate, to jump onto people, or you can also use it to try and escape. His number 2 ability is called Eat Minions, and you can see it's got a really short range here, but basically if you use this ability on a minion that's 33% health or less, it will be consumed, and Bakasura will heal health and gain protections. And he also stores the minions that he consumes for use in his ultimate. So we'll go ahead real quick, get in here, show you eat those guys. It's got a pretty long cooldown, so it's hard to stack it up really quickly. And you can see right here, that's keeping track of how many minions I've eaten. So right now I've only eaten 1, so there's no number there, but I will show you. Now you can eat almost any minions. You can eat lane minions, you can eat, I'll show you, I'll eat this large harpy. And you can see now that right down here, I have a 2, meaning I've got 2 minions in there. So your number 3 ability is called Butcher Blades. You passively gain physical power, and when you activate it, you do additional true damage on each strike for the duration. So true damage is damage that is not negated by armor or magic resist or anything like that. So true damage, if you have a lot of it, can be quite effective against tanks and pretty much anyone, actually. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to keep eating people so that I can show you his ultimate. So you notice I've eaten 1 small minion, and now I've got 2 larger minions. Now I don't actually know if I can eat the harpy over here, but I could try it out. If she doesn't kill me. She's probably going to kill me. So I'm going to run away. buy some items for him. Just so I can actually kill this harpy over here and see if I can eat it or not. Okay, so I killed the harpy and did not eat it. Anyway, so let's check out his ultimate ability. His ultimate ability is called Regurgitate. He exposes his head, regurgitating all the minions consumed by his Eat Minion ability at his ground target location that slows and cripples enemy players. And his basic attacks become cone attacks, and he's immune to crowd control for the duration. So what you're going to see here is he's actually going to basically puke up all of the minions that he's eaten so far. And I'll show you. You'll see that the harpy came out. Oh, nope. Oh. A bunch of mini-me's came out. So, pretty much for every minion that you've eaten, you will get a mini-mew, and they will come out and attack and slow and things like that. So, Bakasura is pretty interesting. He's good on some maps. He's not so great on some other ones. Mostly because if you're not able to eat enough minions, you can't build up your ultimate to the point where it's actually strong enough to be effective. So let's move along, take a look at a warrior here. We're going to take a look at Chaac, the god of rain, Mayan. So Chaac doesn't have as many skins. He's got his default skin here. And then he also has a Hailstorm skin. This is the one that you can buy with in-game currency. And then of course he has the golden skin and the legendary skin. So let's go ahead and jump in with him. So Chaac is a warrior, so he's kind of a middle ground between a guardian and an assassin. He can put out a good amount of damage, but he'll also take a good amount of damage. He can't take as much as a guardian, and he can't dish out as much as an assassin. But you know, he does sit on that pretty interesting middle ground. Now, note, you can build him to be super tanky or super damage oriented, but just by default, based on his recommended build, he's going to sit somewhere in between. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm actually just going to buy all the items for these guys. Alright, so let's take a look at his passive ability. I'm going to let all these ability upgrades go first. Alright, so his passive is called Overflow. After 5 successful basic attacks, the next ability he uses costs no mana. So I'm just going to go over here and show that to you guys. You can see right here, this keeps track of how many auto attacks you've done. So here we go. You'll see I get the little purple balls to fill up, and now I can use an ability and it costs no mana. So it's pretty good. It kind of encourages you to stay in people's faces and continue to use your auto attack ability. So his number one, or you can see his basic attack actually does have a progression. The first strike does 1 times damage, so normal damage. The second strike does half damage, and then the third strike does 1.5 times normal damage. So he does have a progression, and we'll look at it real quick. So this is the normal, half, and then 1.5. So And now his first ability is called Thunder Strike. And Thunder Strike, basically, you can see you got this here. And what he'll do is he will throw his axe to the location, and wherever it lands, it does damage, and it also will stay there for 5 seconds. You can see it's going to stay here. Okay. And that's basically it. That's all it does, but it actually chains into a bunch of his other abilities. So his number 2 ability is called Torrent. He spins his axe around him, damaging all enemies, and gains protections for each enemy hit to a maximum of 5. But if his axe is out from Thunderstrike, he's first going to dash to the location, and he'll do 50% damage to enemies that he passes through, and then he'll do his spin attack. So that's his normal spin attack. And we will wait for the cooldown here, and I will show you the difference when you have Thunderstrike, the Thunderstrike axe out. So we'll throw the axe out. Here we go, number 2. See, he charged over to where the axe was. So anybody who was in his way during that time, he would have done 50% damage to. So it kind of gives him a sort of combo dash move that he can use. And you can use that, if you're trying to get away from someone, you could throw it ahead. And depending on if you're dodging and stuff like that, you could use the dash to get over there pretty quickly. His third ability is called Rain Dance. He summons a rainstorm around his current location for 6 seconds, and while it rains, he regains health, and enemies are caught in the mud, so they're slowed and have their attack speed reduced. Additionally, if his axe is out from Thunderstrike, it will also spawn a rainstorm at that location. So normally, this is Rainstorm. You can see that there's kind of like a muddy effect around me, and that gives me my health back. And then I'll wait for the cooldown, and I will show you it in combination with Thunderstrike. Alright, so throw the axe out. There's Rainstorm, and you can see there's 2 Rainstorms now. There's one where the axe was, and there's one around me. And his ultimate ability is called Storm Call. He charges his lightning axe and unleashes a blast, which silences and damages all enemies around him. While he's in the air, he's immune to damage and CC. So this is his... Let me check the cooldown here. Cooldown 2 minutes. Okay, well, we're going to do this in conjunction, because if he is within range of the axe that he threw out from Thunderstrike, it will supercharge Storm Call, which will deal additional damage and knock up enemies. So let's try this on something a little bit stronger, since we'll probably just annihilate those guys pretty quickly. Alright, let's go over here. Not the fire giant. We'll try it on the Harvey here. So you can see there I tossed in the axe, I used the charge to get over to there pretty quickly, threw out a rainstorm just because, and then I used his ultimate, which when used in proximity of the axe, does supercharge. And that's pretty much Chaac. So he's got a little bit of a utility aspect to him, what with the Rain Dance, because he can regain health. However, his Rain Dance doesn't heal for a ton. It does about 50 at max rank with all the gear, the recommended gear. It does about 50 healing every 5 seconds for 6 seconds, so it does about 600 healing. You can see he's got 2600 health there. It's not a whole bunch, considering that you have to stay in the area, or you don't. The rainstorm will follow you, but if you're trying to heal your allies, they have to stay in the area of it. So I'm just going to show you his ultimate one more time. Alright, and that is Chaac, the God of Rain. Alright, next up we're going to take a look at a hunter, and we are going to look at Neith, the Weaver of Fate. So this is her default skin. She has the mischievous chin. She has the mischievous skin, which is the one that you can purchase with in-game currency. She also has misdiagnosis, nurse outfit, and then of course she has her golden skin and her legendary skin. Alright, so let's go take a look. Alright, so Neith is a hunter. In other MOBAs, they're referred to as AD carries or just carries. So she is a ranged physical attacker. Pretty weak as far as defense goes. Generally, AD carries are pretty good at taking down enemy structures like towers and the Phoenix, and Titan, stuff like that. Alright, so bear with me while I let all of these skill upgrades go. Alright, so Neith. Neith obviously has a ranged auto attack. By the way, if you're wondering what this blue line is, it's an indicator, it's an option you can turn on to see exactly how far your auto attacks hit. So like I know that right here, I will hit that guy, right here, I won't. You can see she does a lot of damage. Alright, so let's take a look at her passive. Her passive is called Broken Weave. And basically, when an enemy god dies, a broken weave will get placed on the ground, which will give her abilities a second effect. So, I think to show her off, I'm actually going to have to come in here and show you. Alright. You can see right here, it's kind of hard to see because it's on this red deal, but you can see the wisp that's there, the weave, rather. And, so that's her passive ability. It puts down the weaves. And let me get away from him real quick. Okay, I guess he's gonna follow me. Alright, well you can see it pretty good there. There's the weave. Alright, so basically, those get put down and they last for 1 minute. Her basic attack has no progression. Her first ability is called Spirit Arrow. She fires a shot through a whirlweave that passes through everything. The first enemy hit. Now, passes through everything, it means it will go through walls. So, like, you can see it went through the wall. Because the first enemy that gets hit takes damage and is rooted, successive enemies take 75% of the damage and root duration. If it hits a broken weave, the weave detonates, dealing an additional 100% of damage and applying a root to all enemies in the area. So I've got a weave here. You can see it detonated when I shot the arrow through there. Her second ability is called Unravel. She neatly unravels the world weaves, damaging all enemies in the target area, reducing their attack speed and healing her for each enemy hit up to 3. Any broken weaves in the area are removed and heal her for an additional amount. So, let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, I'm going to kill him again to put a weave down, and I'm going to use the ability.
You have slain an enemy.
Let's see if I can get him to damage me some when he pops up. So you can see I got healed for 2 amounts there. 1 because there was 1 enemy, and 1 because there was a weave down. Her third ability is called Backflip. She does a backflip and creates a broken weave as she leaps, damaging and slowing enemies in the area in front of her. So this one, you can see it's got a cone, and what I'll do is actually do a backflip, and as you can see, the people in that cone would have been slowed and would take some damage, but it also made a broken weave. So it seems kind of weird, her passive, to have the weaves get put down wherever enemy gods die. You know, it's kind of hard because they might die in a random spot that doesn't seem very useful to you, but that's where you can use backflip to put down a weave in a specific area so that you can then target it for whatever uses that you need to. Her ultimate is called World Weaver. She charges up and fires an arrow across the world, seeking its target through obstacles. Enemy gods take damage and are stunned. It can be fired quicker for diminished results. So, with this ability, like we know that Ra's over there, I can hit her ability. I guess I gotta be able to see him. Yeah, you have to have visibility, or your ally has to have visibility on the god, but I can, from way back here, fire off her ability, and you can see it did a pretty good amount of damage. So it's a pretty good sniper effect, and like I said, either you have to have visibility on the god, or if your ally has visibility, or if your minions have visibility on the god, as long as someone on your side has visibility on the god, you can aim at them with your ultimate. And so that's Neith. So last up, we're going to take a look at a mage. And we are going to take a look at Anubis, God of the Dead. So this is his default skin. He has the Nightwalker skin. This is the one you can purchase with in-game currency. He's also got the Gravehound skin. Pretty cool skeleton skin. A bunch of green stuff in there. He has the Stargazer skin. This is a pretty awesome skin. It's got special effects and stuff. And then we've got the Golden and the Legendary.
Anubis.
Alright, so Anubis is a mage. He is low defense, he's high damage, but his damage is primarily in his abilities, not in his auto attacks. Let's go ahead and get this setup out of the way.
Minions have spawned.
Alright, as you can see, he's got a pretty standard, just kind of ranged basic attack. So let's go ahead and take a look at his passive. So all of his abilities steal physical and magical protection from the target if he gains, and he gains increased scaling to his item-based magical lifesteal. In addition, Sorrow, his passive, grants him additional 30% reduction to all crowd control durations. But that does not stack with Resolve, which is a crowd control reduction buff that you can get from items. So there's really not a good way for me to show you his stuff, his passive. But I can hopefully go in here and use some of his abilities, and it will show the buff down here on top of my bar. So his first ability is called Plague of Locusts. A plague of locusts bellows forth from his mouth, smothering all enemies in the area and doing damage every 5 seconds for 3 seconds. He's immune to knockback while channeling. You can see it's in a cone here, you also cannot move while you're channeling. You can turn, but you can't actually move. So I'll show you. See, I can't move, but I can turn. And as you can tell, that is very powerful. One ability completely wiped out that camp. And you can see... Oh, I didn't see the buffs pop up, sorry. Alright, so his number 2 ability is called Mummify. He fires a bandage projectile, mummifying and stunning his target. So let's see if I can find someone. Go in here. So you can see it's a cone ability. And I guess it doesn't work on enemies. I will go use it on the other god. Alright, here we go. See, it wrapped him up, stunned him. Alright. I'll take a look at his third ability. His third ability is called Grasping Hands. And it is a AoE ability. So Grasping Hand, he calls for help from the underworld as hands penetrate the ground and claw at his enemies, doing damage and slowing every 5 seconds for 2 seconds. You can see we toss this out here. All these crazy awesome hands come out of the ground and they do damage and slow. And then his ultimate ability is called Death Gaze. He focuses all of his energy into a piercing gaze, doing damage to all enemies in the path every 0.3 seconds for 3 seconds. So 9 times, and it hits pretty ridiculously hard. So we're gonna go over here. I'm going to mummify Ra, and then I'm going to use Death Gaze on him, and you will see how quickly he melts. That's pretty much all there is to him. He's listed as a very complicated, or a very difficult character to play, just because he seems pretty straightforward, but he has a lot of nuances. I mean, as you can tell, he does a lot of damage. But most mages do a lot of damage with their abilities. Alright, and that is Anubis. So once again, real quickly, we started out, we covered Hades, the Greek king of the underworld, a guardian, so tank type character. Then we checked out Bakasura, the great devourer, a Hindu god, an assassin. So once again, assassins are highly damage-oriented classes, and they're focused on their basic attacks to do the majority of their damage, and they're highly mobile. Then we took a look at Chaac, the god of rain, who's a warrior, kind of a mix between a guardian and assassin. Pretty good defense, pretty good attack. And then we took a look at Neith, the Weaver of Fate, Egyptian goddess. And she is a hunter class, so high damage, low survivability. She's focused on ranged attacks and not a whole lot of mobility. And then we finished it off with a look at Anubis, who is a mage character, so high damage, low survivability, focused on abilities for damage rather than auto attacks or basic attacks. And that's all for today. Come back another time. I'll have another video up. We're going to take a look at, once again, we're going to do one of each role. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where we don't have enough, or we've done, guardians. There's only 7 guardians, and you can tell that there are way more mages than that. So eventually, we are going to be overlapping to check out champions, but the whole purpose of this series is just to take a quick glimpse at the different champions that are available. For anyone interested in playing Smite who maybe wants to see more than, the descriptions of the abilities, because they don't really do them justice. So look forward for next time. I think we're going to take a look at Bacchus, the god of wine. And we'll see who else makes the list. Thanks for tuning in.